I'm standing here with Max Hooper from the Australian Citizens Party. He's a spokesperson for Jan Bakulis. How do you feel things have been going this week in pre-polling?
On the pre-poll, it's obviously hard when you're a minor party, but everyone we talk to, we've had a lot of conversations with voters, and a lot of people do like the sound of our policies.
Yep.
But unfortunately, as a minor party, you don't always get the opportunity to speak about them. So this is a really good opportunity. So thanks, David. Yeah.
Oh, no need to thank us. Look, tell me, what is Jan's background? Since obviously we can't get her to talk for herself.
Yep. So speaking on behalf of Jan, I'm Jan's campaign director. So Jan raised a family of 4 kids, and she's got 4 grandchildren as well. She lives just on the northern outskirts of this electorate of Fadden. She lives in Eagleby. Okay. And her husband was a medical researcher. And so what got Jan into politics was they lived in Mackay before they moved down here. And the local hospital went from 350 beds down to 230. So they spoke to their state member and they spoke to their federal member. And they said, to engage on that. And the members were good people. Like, all the members they spoke to were good people, but they were hampered by the party machine, and they said, my hands are tied, there's not much I can do about it. And then so she realised that the motto of our party is citizens taking responsibility. So that was what got Jan into politics. She thought she has to take responsibility for these things. Her husband worked in health, and they were doing things like they were taking hospital beds away to build housing. And so that was really how she got into politics.
Okay, that's interesting. Was Jan, did she have any party allegiances? I know that many times independent parties have candidates who have become disaffected with some of the major parties.
Yes, so Jan herself probably describes herself as not being a political person, but I guess that was her route into politics. So she's never been a political operative or a member of any other party. I have, but that's a different story.
Yeah, you were saying before that, just off air, that you're a former Labor member, but any reason why you've disavowed them and gone with the Citizens Party?
So one of the things I'd like to say is I haven't totally disavowed the Labor Party, but I would just say I found the political process of the major 2 parties a little bit not inspiring. So I was very inspired. I actually campaigned for Labor in the 2019 election. Okay. And I really supported some of the policies they took to that election, like in particular the end of negative gearing and also flanking credits.
Yeah.
But we faced a lot of disinformation in that campaign, and the truth of what those policies actually meant didn't always, there's a lot of misinformation got miscommunicated to people.
Well, some would say that that was one of the reasons why Bill Shorten was unsuccessful in that, because there was, what was it, Labor's banking tax or something.
Yeah. So there was a discussion in the Labor Party about that, about what lost them the election, and it's many factors, but they took it in the party that it was those policies that lost them the election. Yep. Unfortunately, Labor's taken more of a small target policy in this election, and so I became aware of the Citizens Party after the election, and there was a lot of ideas that I actually thought these were really good old-fashioned Labor ideas. And I think it's important for the people to know about the Citizens Party is that a lot of people see us as a fringe party, and we've been painted as that for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people have us down on their how to vote ticket. But they're a very honest party, and they're actually advocating for policies that were Labor Party policies, and one of those policies is obviously our People's Bank, which is an idea that's starting to get a bit of traction.
Okay, do you want to talk a little bit more about that and some of the other Citizens Party policies? It's difficult to say that.
Sure.
That might appeal to voters.
Yeah. Okay. So, our primary 2 policies, and this isn't the limit of the work we do, but we go in because when you're a minor party, you have to have a distilled message, right? So you need to have something bite-sized for people to take in. And so I would probably invite Independent Australian readers, because I actually follow Independent Australia. I know it's a very progressive news channel, and it's one of the better ones out there that's a bit more progressive, and it's, more deals with the truth rather than misinformation.
So Citizen Party would be regarded as progressive, you'd say?
Yeah, well, that's actually quite funny because people have characterised us as being a right-wing party, and we're really not, because if you look at what we stand for, we've been supporting a lot of really good work around the loss of bank branches. There's a Senate inquiry into the bank closures, so we're seeing thousands of bank closures, and actually a lot of the work behind the scenes has been our party actually engaging with the senators on that inquiry. And we actually we had to work with some other minor parties, One Nation, but also the Greens. So we work with right-wing parties and left-wing parties because we don't care if they're left or right-wing. We care about policies that are good for the citizens of Australia. So we actually helped to get that inquiry up. And that's one of the most positive things that people are responding to in this election, because in this election they're telling us that their branches have been closed, services being withdrawn from their electorate, and all those sorts of things. And this is really a policy that can help a lot of that and help the country. So
the Banking Royal Commission came out with a report, and the previous one of the previous Liberal governments, not even the last one, only implemented, I believe, one of the recommendations. What's the Citizens Party's attitude towards that?
Well, our attitude is we think there's actually ASIC's become soft. So that's another thing that's coming out. So the banking inquiry, obviously, we fully supported. So, and I guess our overarching thing that we believe is that if you want competition and you want better standards in the banking industry, the best way to give that is there's two ways. You can either have privatised banks and try to regulate them or be hands off with regulation and hope they'll do the right thing. And we believe that there's space for a government bank to set the standard, to have a good standard for people to follow. And then that will be the best way to bring some of the things in the Royal Commission. If there's someone doing the right thing, then the other banks will have to be forced to follow.
So a People's Bank is what you described it as, which was kind of previously what most would regard, I guess, the Commonwealth Bank as being, until it was privatised. Is there any real difference between what you envisaged for the People's Bank and what was provided in the past back for the Commonwealth Bank?
Right. So our vision for a People's Bank is really to expand on it and to have a development bank, so a national development bank, which means that Australia's sovereign credit can be directed for the benefit of the citizens of the country. So that's really at the heart of our policy.
Well, development banks are not a new idea. There was a Queensland Development Bank for a long time.
That's right.
Which did some good work.
And so, to your point there, the actual Commonwealth Bank actually started as a postal bank. So in 1912, it's the easiest footprint for a new bank to start. You've already got a footprint of 4,000 bank branches around the country, and then it's the easiest and lowest cost way to introduce that service. And actually other countries, New Zealand fought for a postal bank. So there's actually Kiwi Bank in New Zealand, which has about 7% of the market. So all of this scaremongering that government doesn't belong in banking, there's room for private competition, but we think just having an honest broker in there really helps to keep them honest. And so that's part of our thing. So the other thing we've obviously fought for is Glass-Steagall, which is, supporting the separation of investment banks and deposit-taking institutions. Without that separation, we saw the global financial crisis, and we saw the effects that.
So you think that investment banking tends to encourage a bit of casino capitalism, whereas, the private banking, the retail banking institutions should be protected from that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's exactly what we think. And if you actually look at the economy in the Western world, like a lot of our economy is in the speculative economy. Like we got basically the ASIC and the big banks kind of exist to keep our property investment market going. And really that's not an economy, that's a hollowed out economy.
It's a bit of a Ponzi scheme when you think about it.
It is a Ponzi scheme. And so at the heart of our beliefs, and we just really encourage Independent Australia listeners to have a look on our website. We have a YouTube show every week, The Citizens Report, very high quality journalism and things like that. And so at the heart of our belief is the physical economy, that the best way to provide a sustainable economy that provides all the services and the employment we need is to invest in the physical economy and not the roulette wheel.
And not the fake economy. I think at the height of, I think there's been some reports that at the height of before the GFC, the unreal economy, if you like, and I used to be an investment banker myself, was 14 to 1. 14 equities and shares and derivatives and share options and what have you, to 1, the real economy, actually making stuff.
I think it's 40 now.
40. All right, that's quite frightening. All right, look, it's getting a bit late here, has the Citizen Party got anything else that that voters should know before they go to the polls on Saturday?
So, what voters should know is that when you're talking to the Citizens Party, you're talking to a party that listens to the average person. And so the motto of our party is citizens taking responsibility. So what we encourage is, to not take what someone else says about our party, but have a look for yourself and just, whether there's an election or no election, we're always doing our work. We're out there, we're pushing for these issues, we believe in them. And it's very hard, so we're just going to keep doing that, yeah.
All right, terrific. Thanks so much for that, Max. Really appreciate your time.
All right, thanks, Dave. All right, thanks for the opportunity. Yeah.